battles and wars. Same thing with Hazrati Abu Bakr, Hazrati Umar, Hazrati Osman and Hazrati Ali. So many wars that they fought now. The wars that they fought against unbelievers and the differences of opinion that the truth has to be established, those wars were also fought. But those wars are not fought for what? For their own personal satisfaction. Because when you put the ego out, you're doing it for the establishment of haqq and for the establishment of Allah's rules here. Because now, Islam is not just individual, it's not just families, it's not just community. They're trying to make Islam to be that. Islam is a ruling system. Now, when Islam is a ruling system, if there's an enemy that is going to strike you, forget about Islamic governments. You yourself, the enemy is going to strike you. You have to defend. Maybe personally, you may say, oh, I'm such a good one, I'm not going to defend. Someone is going to attack me. But now you have to defend those ones whom you love. Correct? Now, Islam and Tariqat is taking that one step further. It's not just you or the ones that you love. You have to defend truth. This is beyond you, beyond your family. You have to now defend that truth, that haqq. That has to come with permission, especially in this akhir zaman. You cannot now, no one can declare jihad now. There are rules to jihad too. Only the Khalifah can declare the jihad. And the jihad is not just to someone that you think is an unbeliever, you think is this. Everyone, since the fall of the Khilafat, left, right, and center, everyone is declaring that. But it is not permissible. This is wrong. The only jihad that is permitted for us since the fall of the Khilafat in this Akhir Zaman is to declare jihad against ourselves, to our ego. That other struggle to establish truth, Allah is going to send. It is not through us. Now, to understand this idea also of justice and mercy, it is a very wide topic, and it has to be grounded in spirituality. Now, the Holy Prophet ﷺ, he fought. None of the wars that he fought were wars of aggression. It is not. It is to defend. None of the wars fought in Islam is a war of aggression. Let me say this. It is to defend. Defend what? The worship of Allah. When Muslims in the past, they are going and they cannot worship Allah, then they have to say, because it's not our land, this is Allah's land. That freedom of worship has to be established. And the thing about it is, when Islam is established in areas and in countries and different geographies, they always allow freedom of worship. Never you're going to see over 1,000 years of Islamic history that the Muslims say, no, you cannot be Christians, you cannot be Jews, they're forcing you to be. You cannot be Hindus. Look, Islam was in India for over 1,000 years. 1,000 years is a very long time for the Muslims acting out of justice, acting out of their own ego to destroy every single temple, every mandir, everything to destroy, to wipe out the trace of Hinduism. It didn't, because that is not Islamic. You understand? Exceptions here and there. The only exception really is in the Hijaz, and that is special to the Hijaz. Other than that, even in Qudus, it is allowed. If anything, the rulers are helping to build and to rebuild and to keep everything that is there according to the different millets, to the Christians and to the Jews, to protect that. So, now the Prophet ﷺ, he defended. It is not for him. It is not for his family. It is for Allah's sake and it is for the ummah. Now, this kind of thing, it needs a bit of training to go through because everyone is mixed up now. If they're going to defend something, it is for their own personal or ideological or dunya. The Sahaba Kiram, they went to war with each other. it is not because of dunya. It is to establish what is justice. What is justice? When the war happened within Hazrati Muawiyah and Hazrati Ali, that one day I'm remembering Shaykh Efendi, he went to Turkey and he was sitting in this area and they all Alavis and he was wearing sunnah and they love him. They sat down, started joking around, talking, and I said, I said, Shaykh, because they say like that. What do you think about the war of Hazrati Ali Karamallahu Wajhah and Muawiyah? And his blood was boiling. I said, you mean Hazrati Muawiyah? So, oh, why you say Hazrati Muawiyah? He did this and said, listen to me, he says, when lions they fight, street dogs they don't interfere. Now this is a big wisdom there, because now everyone is interfering into everything. It's not their knowledge, it's not their speciality, they don't know their history, but everyone is interfering. And this is a curse that comes to people who interfere. In the past, people had some modesty. They say, you know what, I don't know. Why am I going to interfere? They know where the limits are. Now, they train us to think. You have a mind, you have an opinion. It is valid. You can speak your mind about anything. You can interfere into business, into law, into government. Oh, I'm sorry, people don't. They know this is beyond us. They know they don't interfere. They know they have to get a lawyer, how to get a doctor. They don't self-medicate. They know it is wrong. But in terms of religion and spirituality, then everyone is saying, no, I can do myself. So this is wrong. So now, with the consultation and doing things for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, meaning just like that, you're not doing it for your ego. Even if there is there with the consultation, then he's going to say, okay, put that aside. That has to be stepped on. This is not about that. Now you're going to use this for the sake of haqq. It is allowed then. You understand? Personally, whatever anyone does to you, forgive. Personally, what anyone says to you, forgive. We don't go to sleep in our way until we make sajda shukr, thanking Allah and asking Allah to forgive us, and asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive everyone who has done wrong to us, and saying we're not going to ask for their rights on the Day of Judgment, to clean our hearts, and asking Allah for them to forgive us for all the wrong things that we have done to so many people in our lives that maybe we cannot reach to ask for their forgiveness. Because this is a sickness. This is a sickness that people, they have in their hearts for years and years and years and years. Decades, generations. This is one of the things that the Holy Prophet ﷺ came to finish, this feuding, this bloodshed between the tribes of the Hijaz, because they hate each other, but they don't even remember what it is that happened. All they know is, I'm not supposed to like. Asking for revenge and going back and forth, fighting. The Prophet says there's no tribalism now. For us, we should forgive. Forgiveness doesn't mean that you're saying what is wrong is right. It doesn't mean that. Forgiveness doesn't mean you embrace now. People are so tolerant these days, we must embrace wrong things. No, wrong is wrong. Whatever wrong it is wrong. Your father, your mother, your children, your best friend, your family, your tribe, your people. Wrong is wrong, right is right. This is what it means to be a Hakkani. This is what the prophets they did. This is what the Sahabi-Kiram they did. Because it is very easy. First, you're going to defend yourself, defend your family against everything. Wrong is wrong, right is right. If you have that, Allah will support you. He doesn't support the wrongdoers. You understand? So, when you look at different hierarchies of society, then they have different responsibilities. If we are not there at that level, none of us are really, then I'm not going to open up that subject to, because we are not going to be able to understand that. But our purpose here, when as a ruling system, it is to establish haqq. It is to establish justice. It is to establish justice. Establishing justice means that all those agents of tyranny, they have to be put under control. It has to be finished. Just as our responsibility to ourselves as people of the Nakshibendi way is to establish justice. What does that mean? Now first you're going to attack your own ego. You understand? All those agents that is going to be unjust, your ego, shaitan, hawa and dunya, you're going to attack them every day. You're not going to forgive them. You're not going to show mercy to them. You're going to attack them. Knowing also that we cannot get rid of them. It is still going to be there. Maybe a little bit here and there, it's still going to be there. This is the other thing too. It is not, this is a higher wisdom, because it is not to just completely to destroy the batil. Listen to this very carefully now. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is also the creator of batil. Isn't he? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is also the creator of shaitan. It is not our responsibility now to kill shaitan, but to escape to Allah, to ask Allah for refuge. To ask Allah, this is also your creature, I'm asking you to help me to put that under control. This is a higher wisdom and a higher way of working with things, because you're not declaring, don't declare war like that. You're not going to win. So, as I'm saying, just as it is personally, you know that you cannot get rid, you have to live and negotiate through it, and it is also necessary now to keep you going to higher stations. Because shaitan, every time he tricks you, and if you are strong enough to withstand it, you go to a higher station. Every time it comes from another different side, you stand firm, you go to a higher station. Shaitan is there in reality to bring you to higher stations. Every time you fight, your ego, every time you fight, you go to higher stations. So that you are not stuck anywhere. So now when we're talking about the whole big issue of Islamic governments now, it is also not to look out to see every battle that is going to be cut and finished. Everything that doesn't agree with our way of life, we're going to finish it. No. You understand? It is much more delicate like that. You have to allow things. And yes, there is spirituality in government. There has to be. When there isn't, then it becomes an idol to itself also. So on the one hand, we're saying we establish haqq, and I'm saying don't embrace and accept wrong. But on the other hand, we know we cannot get rid of it. And to some extent, it has to be there to push people to be on their toes. It's necessary also. So, may Allah grant us more understanding and wisdom, inshallah. Fatiha. Amen.